To order, if you are able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'm going to open the hearing and privilege of the floor. The board has allotted 30 minutes for this public to speak to us. If you wish to address the board, please approach the podium, state your name, your address, and please adhere to the 5-minute policy.
Hello, my name is Catherine Jones. Did you say to state anything else?
Yeah, your name, your address.
16 Maryland Drive, Glenville. Good evening. It's nice to see all of you tonight, and thank you for hearing me out. I corresponded via email with you all earlier today, and I do truly appreciate Superintendent Schwartz, your quick response, and it was very thoughtful, and I thank you for that. However, I don't feel like I got the clarity I was looking for, so I'm going to restate my concern and question. And I do understand, Superintendent Schwartz, that you'll be speaking about reimagining our schools this evening, and thank you. I look forward to hearing that. I'm not on any of the reimagining our school committees, but I have been closely following the discussion in the community about what has taken place. And there's one thing that continues to come up in conversation that I feel compelled to address here tonight. My concern is that in the first session of the Repurposing the School Committee, which you are on, Superintendent Schwartz, you and Glendale Principal Tom Egan both stated to the group that it was not an option to close Sacandaga or Glendale. I was not there, but I spoke to most people who were in the room who said yes, that was the discussion had that night. Obviously upset about it. In the Boundaries Committee, Clara Billison, the head of Scotia-Glenville Transportation Department, stated it was not really an option to close Sacandaga or Lincoln, because the majority of students there don't need buses. So that leaves Glen Warden as the last school left that's possible to be closed. Perhaps these comments were made conversationally, which is fair. That's the point of a committee, to have open back and forth conversations without persecution. And that's how you get to resolutions, is just talking things out. But they were heard and understood by the committee members to be facts. And when the superintendent names 2 of the 4 schools as safe from being closed, people listen. If that's true, this is significant information that deserves transparency. It changes the context of the data. It changes the discussion. It changes the process, especially under such a tight timeline. Many of the committees are only meeting every other week. That's like a handful of times, 6-7 times, before a decision is going to be made. We all understand the sentiment that no one wants to close their school. And I stand here, yes, as a Glen Warden mom, but I am not against change. I'm not standing in the way. I'm standing here as a mom. I'm not standing here as a mom trying to protect my own school, because I understand that change is necessary even when it's hard. I'm standing here because what we're missing right now, it's not agreement on what school to close, it's trust. Trust comes from honesty. Tonight, I am speaking as a voice for our community that wants straightforward answers and transparent leadership. I think the work that has gone into the committee is honorable and immense. I know everyone is trying their best, and I thank you all for that. Figuring this out is a job that no one wants and even less people could do. But what our community needs the most right now is not to feel misled, it is to feel led. Please understand that even when information is difficult, we can handle it if it's honest, and now is the time to be honest. Thank you.
Anybody else for hearing privilege of the floor? All right, I'm going to close hearing privilege of the floor and move to superintendent's comments.
Thank you. So first, I want to thank Catherine for her comments. I appreciate them very, very much so. No decisions have been made about which schools, well, school, I should say, could close. In fact, a decision has not been made that any school will close. The whole purpose of this process, which you are right, is a pretty significant undertaking, is to gather and put together as much information as possible about what will best serve our community, how we can best achieve that, and what it's going to take. Some of the folks on my committee, which is pretty heavily populated with Glen Warden parents, don't want it to be Glen Warden, and I understand that. But it is still a possibility that it could be Glen Warden, just like it's a possibility that it could be Lincoln or Sacandaga or Glendale. Groups like the attendance boundary group are looking at strategically how we would take all the children in the district and reroute them to 3 schools. There is certainly more than one way to do that, and I'm sure there were folks in that room who also hoped that their school was not going to be the school. If it were as simple as I recommended to the board, we should close this school or that school, or the board recommended to me we should close at that school, I think some people think that would be easier because at that point we would know the answer. But it has been pointed out tonight, we won't know the answer because moving 4 schools to 3 schools means pretty much everyone's going to be affected one way or the other, depending on what Mr. Arquette and his group come up with for grade level configuration. We are working very hard to be transparent and provide accurate information to people every step of the way. That's why although some frustration with the reimagining our school on our website, that really is the official information. That's where it will be, and that's what you can count on. I would, in a perfect world, not close any school. I would, in a perfect world, rearrange our student body so that our class sizes across whatever remaining elementary schools are open, are fair and equitable, so that Sacandaga doesn't remain the school with the largest classes, while all 3 of the other schools have smaller classes. And then I would take that 4th school and I would reimagine a purpose for it. And I've made no bones about the fact I really want preschool here. Glen Warden would be a great place for a preschool because we are working with Niskayuna, Burnt Hills, and Mahonison, and it's relatively easy to get to from all those locales. That said, that decision's not made. No decision's been made. People are saying any number of things. As I said in my email back to Catherine today, I've heard you shouldn't close Glen Warden. I've heard you should close SAC. I've heard you can't close SAC. I've heard you should close Lincoln. No, you can't close Lincoln. You can't close Glendale. It's too far out, and families who live beyond Glendale will have to come in too far. There are lots of rumors and innuendo going on. But I would say to people,
go to the Reimagine Our Schools website, link on our website, and look for the accurate information. I would guess somewhere along the way, I've said about every school, that could be the school that closed. Because yes, it could. Any of the 4 could close. However, I'm not saying that is the school that will close, because I have no idea at this point. And I can say that in all honesty and without any guile. I don't know. I think, in all probability, SAC will remain open. Why do I think that? Because it's our largest school. And I don't think a recommendation is going to come forward to close our largest school, and the one that is most heavily populated and has class sizes that are within our current guidelines. But honestly, as I sit here tonight, I don't know that. We haven't gotten that far. So there could be lots of things that people want and believe to be true and think are most important, but we don't have any answers yet. That's the whole purpose of this committee process, is to have people provide their best thinking about what would make sense for us. There were very heated emotions in my group that first night. Tears, unhappiness, perhaps even what I would call an inability to focus on the question, which was, what would we do with an empty building? Because folks can't get past the, is it going to be my building? And I bet even at times my own board has thought to themselves, I won't put words in their mouths, it might be easier if we just said it will be this. And then people can be upset about it will be this, but that'll be the direction. My worry about doing that is that then we don't have our community involved. And people will be unhappy about that. So I want to assure you we are doing the absolute best we can do, all of us, on every committee, to bring this to closure, make a decision, get input from all of our community, and move forward. And I can tell you right now, as of today, thanks to Kathy Smith and Megan Johnson, I'm feeling like the Reimagine Our Schools website is the best and most accurate source of information. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move on to reports. Legislative liaison, Kim.
I'm going to be quick because really the focus should be on Karanjit and the work that he did, which I know is coming up. But I did want to just mention that there was a significant reduction in workforce at the Department of Education, and there's concern about the majority of the staff that had this latest reduction was in the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Office of Special Education Programs, and they're responsible for issuing $44 billion a year to all our schools. So nothing's going to be done immediately, but we definitely need to keep an eye on that because it could definitely affect us if things don't change.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Is that all you have, Kim?
That is all I have. Thank
Awesome. PTA Council.
Yeah, busy week, even though it's been a week or so. Last Friday, Glen Warden hosted a trunk or treat. We were happy to have Thomas Corners Fire Department and also part of our SRO team on ground there. It was awesome for the time I was there. They always do a great job. PTSA, y'all had the homecoming dance on Saturday, which was phenomenal. Over 400 attended, correct?
About 400 kids, yep.
That's crazy that you guys not only got that back up, but it's already a huge
Well, I got to give
success.
kudos to the senior class and the senior class advisor, Marissa Gordon, for that. They really worked their rear ends off and we just were support for them with that. So I give kudos to them. They really worked hard.
Phenomenal job. Also, last Friday, the middle school had their zombie bash. Seems like that was well attended and really appreciated. Coming up this week on Friday, we got a whole lot going on SAC. We'll have the Harvest Run, and they'll also have their Monster Mash going on here at the middle school at 6 p.m. Lincoln will be kicking off their trunk or treat at 6 p.m. and Glendale will have their Fall Fest at 6 p.m. So a lot of Halloween stuff coming up this Friday.
Is that it?
That's all.
Awesome. All right, audit committee, we don't have anything to update on the audit committee. Anything from you, Drew, for that?
Next board meeting, I'll have the first fiscal project. We won't have state aid runs till probably right before December, so I'll give you a projection next board meeting.
Board of Education Policy Committee, anything from that so far?
We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay. Board of Education goals, I know we're not going to discuss our goal projections for the year. Does anybody have anything that they want to discuss on that?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the clock tick because it's late October.
agree.
I was looking at my own goal that I want to submit, and I'm thinking and maybe suggesting to others with goals that maybe we simplify some of the points because we've lost 60 days. Maybe we'll lose more by the time we actually approve them. So maybe make them something digestible that we know we can get done this year. And that's at least what I'm looking at my own goal of, all right, I'll cut this out, simplify this so that I know it's something, if it's approved, we could accomplish.
So if we simplify it, maybe we can talk about it next meeting, next session?
I would hope.
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, my goal had to do with the budget, and
Really
as we
was.
know, I'd like to get that get that goal done.
Are
so
you
we
guys
can,
okay if we simplify and then we'll talk about it next session?
Yes.
Like I know on mine, I was taking a couple points. I know Mr. Lake over here has a few like-minded bullets, so I'm kind of pulling that out of mine just to make something streamlined and something we know we can make happen.
Perfect, so we'll put that on, can we put that on the agenda for next session?
It can be, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. We have a past goal on there that we were gonna ask if you were available, if you'd looked at any dates in January.
No, Mr. Bednarik and I have to work on that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything on the budget, Drew?
I'll have a fiscal projection next meeting. The budget's not until February.
Okay. All right, report of voting delegate to New York State School Boards Association Convention. Singh, you are up.
Thank you. So, was it Thursday, I believe? Thursday night was a long night, about a little under 6 hours of a meeting to vote on all the propositions that were given to us. I put on your tables here, you'll see, well, a couple pages behind there, took some snippets of amendments that were changed on the fly at the meeting. They're proposed at the time. You have to vote on those first, then go to resolutions. You'll see it there, but you'll see on the front page, on the main page where all the voting is, where the first line is what we as a board approved or not approved, and the next two columns over, you'll see the number of boards that are involved. There's roughly around 285 boards involved that night. And you see majority of the votes were similar to ours. They're approving most of the resolutions, much like us. A couple were, I think one or two were not like ours. So look at that again. But other than that, again, it was a very productive night. I wish I could say it was quick, but it wasn't. But very informative, a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, open discussion on why resolution should pass or not pass. I like to say that a lot of the boards, from the smallest boards to the biggest board down the city, similarly like-minded like us, think them was the same when it came to resolutions, so it was a fun experience.
It was a long experience, so we thank you for doing
Yeah.
that for us.
Of course.
Does anybody have any questions for Singh on any of these, the ones that have been amended on the floor?
were there any particular hot topics that seemed to get the most?
I know, sorry I brought out late to this copy machine, terrible. No, there was talks of the removal of the GMOs for the food. Resolution 32 was amended. A lot of talk around there. And there was a lot of, I didn't put it here, but it wasn't amended. There was a lot of talk on having fat milk, meaning not having, just having, 1% milk, having regular whole milk. A lot of discussion around that. Other than that, it was pretty, we were approving it already, but why we want to approve it, discussions. So nothing bad, nothing terrible, so it was good. Like I said, very good open discussion overall.
I got an important question for you. On the milk discussion, are they bringing back strawberry milk or not?
There was talks about that.
There was?
There's talk about
That's
strawberry milk
awesome.
for sure.
Hitting the hard topics.
Strawberry milk's very important. Kids like strawberry milk.
It's a food group.
Thank you for this chart. That makes it really easy to look at
Of
everything.
course.
And there's some big jumps in there, 54 to 198, like there's,
Yeah, you see a lot. You see the numbers go down as it's almost resolution 33, where a lot of the boards, kind of signed off. Started at 285, 286, and ended almost 220, 219 voting. So I guess he gave up.
Was there any discussion about, I was surprised to see that there was nothing about EV buses this year, to be honest with you.
Nobody
There was
talked about
nothing.
it. So nobody, I'm surprised too.
Yeah.
Not one thing about it.
Huh.
There was like a lot of timers. Everyone was timed at, I believe, 3 minutes each. Per speaker was allowed to talk. Each topic had only 15 minutes of talking time. So I don't know if you got the
Yeah, it was
same way
about the
now.
same. Yeah, it was about the same.
So everyone's time was unfortunately cut off, but it had to move on to the next. So
Right.
no, nobody talked about it, surprisingly.
Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 7. Can I get a motion for the resolution to increase debt services reserve fund, please?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution to increase debt service reserve fund.
A second, I'm sorry.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Any noes? All right, motion moved. All right, can I get a motion to accept the June 2025 extra classroom activity report?
Make a motion to accept the June 2025 extra classroom activity report as submitted.
I guess-
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
I had a couple questions. I noticed that there was a line on the high school one that was for interest, and it had an amount. What happens to that money? It wasn't a lot, don't get me wrong, but I was just curious.
It goes back to the club that we invested the money with.
Okay, because it just said interest. It wasn't any club. That's why I was wondering.
It probably gets allocated.
And I saw that there was a lot of lines that were empty, and there were groups that I know have been gone for a while, like Teen Town for one. Is there ever going to be a time where we remove those lines completely?
When we determine they're inactive, we'll take them out. So, and they probably had activity in the previous report, so we're showing them coming off probably this report.
Okay. And then my last question is, I know that there was discussion at a previous meeting about training for student treasurers. Do we have a date yet for that?
I think it's in end of this month or next month. I'm not
Have
sure.
the student treasurers been notified?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anybody approve?
Aye?
Aye. Say aye.
Used to how it's hard.
I know, it's like I was used to being asked that way.
Yeah, exactly. Any nays? Anybody abstain? All right, motion carried. Can I get a motion to adopt the revised Board of Education Policy 2110?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the revised Board of Education Policy 2110, School Board Powers and Duties.
Second?
A second.
All right, discussion?
I was actually wanting to make a change to it. I talks about policies, but it says policy manual, and I felt like the manual piece kind of restricted it. I would like to remove manual and just say with respect to policies.
Kim, as a member of the policy committee, have you folks had a discussion about consistency of language around that? Policy manual versus policy?
We have not, because we haven't met as a team yet, with Pam out, so that's something that we can put on our discussion.
Yeah, that's something I believe Pam brought up to hammering that out, so that's something in there.
So if you want to set that a time for us to talk about that, save manual policy versus.
Should we maybe aye or nay this first and then move to put it back to committee? Is that,
Or just table them both and
Yeah.
return them to
Yep.
committee?
okay. I would like to table it so the committee can look at it again.
All right, so we're going to motion to table policy 2110. Are we including 2240, or are we going to
Let's have that discussion.
separate? You want that separate?
Separately,
Okay.
yeah.
So we are going to change and table, I need a motion to table the adoption revised for the Board of Education policy 2110. Can I have a motion for that?
I'll move to table the vote on the education policy 2110 and ask that it be returned back to committee for review and editing.
Can I have a second?
I will second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody oppose? Anybody abstain? All right, motion moved. Can I get a motion for number 10, adopt and revise Board of Education policy 2240?
Can we motion to table 2240 along the same timelines with the discussion? Or do we have to approve it and then talk and then table the move?
We have to approve it, second it, well, we're gonna motion one, second,
Okay.
and then we can discuss.
I motion to adopt revised Board of Education policy 2240.
A second.
All right, open for discussion?
Yeah, so when this initially came up for the first look, I was a bit uncomfortable with the removal of the language in regards to the communication aspect. So I think there was some yays or nays on that, and it'd be best to have public discussion on that. So we could get that input now, then we take it back to the committee, and then we can have something to bring to the board to approve. What were the other people's thoughts on that?
Well, that's why I had asked the question the last meeting, why that line had been removed
Yeah.
about reporting, because I had some concerns with that. And I understand that you can't report on every single thing that's going on, or that's all she'd be doing. But maybe we can either scope some language out with respect to this, or I know, I don't want to take Mr. Torelli's thought process that.
You are tremendously smarter than me, so if you want to steal
Well,
it, go ahead.
Just maybe we don't even need this particular policy, and maybe we can make some revisions to the other policy, which I apologize, I don't remember the number, with respect to superintendent responsibilities, instead of having this. So I would like to, and I think others as well, but please say it yourself, I would like to table this policy as well, to have it returned back to the policy committee to review and potentially make edits.
3100 is the policy number you're looking for.
I'm sorry?
3100 is the
Thank you,
policy.
3100.
And I agree with that too. It's something that needs to be in there, but it needs to be stipulated. I don't want it to be, I don't need to know what the superintendent had for lunch that day, but pertinent matters is, and there's some language that we could probably get in there that would craft so we don't go to the other side, to the other extreme.
Yeah, and I would also like the committee to determine whether we even need 2240 to begin with, and that we simply can stay with 2110 and 3100 and hammer those out to get where we need to be.
Could we combine those? Would that be something?
Yeah? Or we just vote to eliminate one of them?
Yes, you can bring it back and do that.
Yeah, I'd
That's
like
what
the
you get in
committee to
discussion.
do some work on it and see what can be
Right.
done before, I don't want to
So the
vote
answer is
to
yes, you
eliminate
can combine
tonight.
them, and then just when you bring it back, you have to vote to remove the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get a date tonight we can all work with, and then we'll start getting that knocked out.
All right, so Mike, Chad, and I will meet afterwards to get a date to talk about that, and then we'll table it for now.
Good.
So
All
can I
right,
get a
so-
motion to table that?
Yes, so I'm going to move to table a vote on the Board of Education policy number 2240, Board of Education superintendent relationship, and ask that be returned back to the committee to review and determine whether we even need it to begin with or to make edits, but also look at policy number 3100 regarding superintendent responsibilities and see if maybe that can be revised to get where we need to be. And we'll let you work on that. That was very long-winded, I apologize.
Can I have a second?
I will second that.
It's the nature of policy.
All in favor? Can I get a motion for communications?
I will move, do you want me to go through the other, everything, or just communications?
Yeah, whatever you have
Okay,
to.
I'd like
You have
to
to separate
move to accept communications number 1, A through E. Number 12, report of the superintendent, staffing A1 and 3 through 15, and also 16, but as amended, as we were provided with the substitute monitors. Spelling is, I'm going to just spell it out, MORTENSEN-SZCZERBA, comma, Bonnie.
Children with disabilities.
Oh, let me do that too. And also the, where is it?
13A.
Oh, I'm sorry, and 13A as well. Sorry.
All right, any comments on these?
I have one specifically in the communications realm on C. So over the past year, I've noticed an upward trend of resignations from that facility in question. Thinking back on Mr. Torelli's goal that we're going to be serious about looking at retention amongst our staff, I think it warrants that in some fashion we have a formal look at the 12 individuals, I believe, over the past year that have resigned. This isn't counting retirements or lateral moves. I really feel this is something that we should take a closer look at. If I look at our other elementary facilities, it's not lining up. I know everyone's looking at the seniority list right now, but I'm not seeing the trends at the other 3 facilities. So I would really like for the board to request some type of formal review so that we can get a handle on that and a better understanding of what's going on currently over there.
I agree.
I forgot to get a second for that. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
I thought so. All right.
I don't know the best pathway on that. We asked Susan to take a look at that. I know the untimely passing of Mr. Criscone. I know the closure we're looking at, but I would see some similar trends.
Perhaps the board as a group could give me a structure of what specifically you're interested in.
Absolutely.
And so I gather the correct information.
If the collective are comfortable with it, I could kind of type out something and email it, and if we get an agreement, we can
That'd
push
be
it up to
great.
the superintendent.
Thank you.
Does that work for everybody?
Mhm.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'll get that to you guys before the end of the week.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? All right, motion moved. Can you move that other one?
Yes, I would like to move to accept the number 12, report of superintendent, staffing A2.
Can I get a second?
I will second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Anybody
Abstain.
Anybody opposed? All right, motion moved. All right, we are on to routine business. Warrants, payroll warrants number 20, number 22, and number 25. Any discussion or questions on those? Check warrants A23, H8, A24, H9. Any discussion or questions on those? We have budget transfers, June 2025 to September 2025. I need a motion to accept those, correct? I need a motion to accept the budget transfers?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the budget transfer, June 2025, September 2025.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor? Say
Can I
aye.
have a discussion first?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay.
You were quiet.
I was waiting. I know. Drew, could you just talk a little bit about the budget transfers that we had for those 3 months and the work that went into that?
Some of it relates to during the budget when we have reductions or reallocations, then we get to the reality what the plan is. Sometimes we have to add a section in one school that we initially thought we didn't. So you reallocate some of the staffing between budget codes. Also, when we outsource some of our positions instead of hiring a full-time equivalent. It's a transfer from a staffing code to a contractual code. But right now, when you see these transfers, there's no impact on the overall functioning of the budget at this point. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Does anybody have any other questions on that? No? All right, all in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? So moved. Can I get a motion for the treasurer's report?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report from September 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody abstain? Anybody opposed? So moved. Other business?
I would like to mention that we're almost done with October, shockingly. So we need to start thinking about November's employee of the month. So if everybody can look into their file folders, Kathy did a great job making folders for us. They are done by month, but you can look in all of the months because she submits them at the time she gets them, but that doesn't mean we can't go back. So we could take a look at that so we can have a discussion amongst ourselves. So hopefully we can do it by the next meeting. And just outwardly to the community, we still would love to see more nominations made. So please feel free to get those applications in because we have a lot of amazing staff at the district, and we'd like to be able to keep this going.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to open the hearing and privilege of the floor.
Do we have more business? Can we do one more business thing?
Oh, yep, never mind, I'm going to take it back.
Susan, we had an email from Glenn Warden.
Yes. And I would tell you that I don't think it is a surprise to folks. Glen Warden houses 3 of our most demanding programs for our students with special needs. Concerns arise both from certainly the families of children in those classrooms, but also from the families of children who are not part of those classrooms. And as recently as last Thursday, President Hoffman and Vice President D'Arcangelo Wood and Mr. Piccone and myself and Dr. Spring and Ms. Polkowski met to discuss those ongoing things and how we're addressing them.
Thank you.
Yep, good.
Anybody else? Okay, then I will open the second hearing and privilege of the floor. If you would like to, please come up to the podium, state your name and your address, and adhere to the 5-minute timeline. Okay, I will close the hearing and privilege of the floor and ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? All right. So moved.
Nicely done, Albert.